U.S. Representative Rosa DeLauro, who has been championing the Family Leave Act bill federally for quite some time now.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you very, very much. I'm delighted to be here this morning, and I want to say a thank you to you, Drew, and I want to say a thank you to the Connecticut Working Families effort and all of your work in fighting for our workers here in the state. Paid family and medical leave is an idea whose time has come. So I am very, very proud to stand with all of you today to urge the Connecticut legislature to pass both the Senate and the House bill. I want to just say a thank you to Hartford Prince, and Rory is here, and along with her two sisters are, you know, the proprietors of this wonderful establishment. I'm going to go shopping at the end of the you know, and it would be expected, as the senator pointed out, that I would go shopping there. So, but to all of the small businesses who stand with us today to share why they believe that the time has come for this legislation. Hartford Prince, Time and Season, CoLab Inc., Blue Earth Compost, your voices are critical. And I mean that very, very sincerely. You are critical to getting this bill passed. And you will tell the story of how this legislation is good for Connecticut businesses. So we are very grateful to have your perspective here this morning. To everyone who was joined to share a personal story, we thank you for your bravery, for fighting to ensure that Connecticut workers will not have to choose between taking the time to care for a loved one and to losing or losing a paycheck. For the legislators who are here today, Matt Lesser, Josh Elliott, thank you for your tenacity in making this fight. And finally, I would like to say to Senator Chris Dodd, who is the father of the Family and Medical Leave bill. Chris Dodd taught me one thing when I worked for him, and that was the potential of government to be able to work on behalf of people. Mm-hmm. And what is this legislation all about? It is about helping people. And he once said that Congress, and I quote, is not about your idea or mine. It is about the people beyond the walls of this chamber who are counting on us to get a job done for them. That's right. Paid family and medical leave gets the job done for our families today. And he has dedicated his life to putting working families first. He got the Family and Medical Leave Act passed. He wrote the legislation. He lived it and practiced it. And he'll tell you about his view of what's happening today, 25 years later. Very quick personal story. In 1986, I was diagnosed with ovarian cancer. And I was lucky to have survived, but also my employer offered paid medical leave. My boss at that time was Senator Chris Dodd. He had introduced the legislation, which became Family and Medical Leave that same year. He encouraged me to take all the time that I needed to get well. He told me that my job would be waiting there for me when I returned. And with the support of my colleagues and my family, I recovered and cancer-free for the last 30 years. But the point was, I was not a member of Congress at that time. I was a staff person. I had a family. I had kids in school. And he said, don't worry, get well and come back, to lessen the stress and the anxiety that families face today when they or their families get sick. Most working families today are not as fortunate as I was. At some point in our lives, nearly all of us need time to deal with a serious illness, to take care of a newborn child, yet only 40% of American workers have access to paid personal medical leave for a serious illness, and only 14% have access to paid family leave. We celebrated the 24th anniversary of the Family and Medical Leave Act earlier this month, landmark legislation, turning point for our country's workplace policy. And the legislation has been used more than 200 million times by American workers, but we have a long way to go so that we have access to paid family and medical leave. And your assistance is not a lottery based on where you happen to find work. Connecticut has led the way with paid sick days, and it has led the way with minimum wage. Connecticut has now to lead the way with passing paid family and medical leave. I've had the honor of introducing that legislation along with my colleague, Senator Kirsten Gillibrand, in the Senate, and it's a national program, allows up to 12 weeks of paid leave per year, and the same 12 weeks is in the State House legislation. We face an uphill battle in the current Congress, which is why it's so critical that states are taking the initiative. California, Rhode Island, New Jersey, and now New York taking up this legislation. But I'm a believer that Connecticut helps to lead the way, and that's what we should be doing here. We came close to passage the last time, but now we're going to move to make it the law of the land in our state. The businesses will tell their own story about how beneficial it is for them. The folks who are here, you've got large tech companies, Spotify, Google, Microsoft, Adobe, have all recognized these benefits. This is about a strategy for working Americans. It's no longer a fact that there's someone stays home to take care of folks when they get ill. Everyone is in the workplace. What this is about is making sure our public policy mirrors what families are living today. And that's why I'm here. Some will say that I'm an interloper in state politics, but I'm happy to be in state politics to get this done. So I'm grateful to all of you for letting me come to speak this morning and to urge both the state Senate and the House to pass this legislation. Thank you very, very much. Are you?